Hello, Christian here, the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur, and I wanted to say happy Friday. Today, I wanted to talk to you about mastering the art of disrupting in our industry or in cooking, because a lot of people think it's all about bold flavors, it's about flashy pictures, it's about changing the norms, is innovating, or just changing the process or showing up differently in the kitchen and in the business. So if you're a chef or a restaurateur or an entrepreneur, I know disrupting for me starts in the mindset. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you haven't done so, please like today's episode or share it with a friend or somebody you feel can benefit from it. Also, click the notification bell so you know every time we send out a new episode. What are some of the things we want to talk about today? I wanted to talk about, what does disruption mean overall? What does disruption mean in a kitchen? What does disruption mean with our thinking? The reason we have create on here is because we're creating conversation. And what we want to do with our show is really simple, is we wanted to have people think differently, and we bring people and episodes to you, which hopefully change the way you look at things, the way you just go about and show up for yourself. Because it's not just for rebellion's sake or that we want to do it for attention. It's for us. It's innovation, and it's not just innovation. It's innovation with purpose. So if you look at disruption, it can go through ingredients, through presentation, through operation, or storytelling. So for me, disruption can mean so many different things. So for me, disruption is also beyond the plate, disrupting through customer experience, brand, or culture. So for me, disruption means so much. And for me, disruption is just thinking differently. And that's what our whole episode and our whole show is about. It's about having you think of your job differently. It's about you showing up differently for yourself, for your work, for your family, for your community. And it's about asking yourself a better question. So why do I do what I do? How can I do it better? And it's all about embracing the risk. But do it calculated. Small experiences lead into big breakthroughs. And that's what we just not notice. And that's why we do what we do. Because if you stay hungry for growth, if you are crave trends, if you are crave to learn outside of your category, or just even get uncomfortable, that's what disruption is all about for me. So what we cover today is how to rethink traditional without losing your identity. I think it's really important. And also what it takes to be a true culinary innovator. Also, we're going to talk about the connection between disruption and storytelling. And then also, what is disruption all about? It's not just what's on the menu. And it's about creating a customer experience that turns customers not just into raving fans, which has them come back. So if you don't mind, so there's a few resources we want you to look over. For me, I absolutely love From Kitchen Pause to Visionary Chef. And that's some free leadership guides there. And also stories of chefs that brand from who they changed for and what they went through to become disruptors on the other side. That's for me what is really, really important. And that's why we do these weekly shows. It's more than just disrupting, is about thinking differently. And again, the reason we have create on here is because we creating conversation. We just not creating conversation on, you and I communicating. I always use the example of this desk. This desk is a triangle desk. And somebody at one point said, hey, we need to have this triangle desk. And not just do we need it because it's the way you can set it up and you can have your screens here. And somebody said, oh, that's silly. Why would you do this? Because for us, desks need to be straight. They come not triangled. What the hell are you doing? And so for me, somebody at some point said, hey, this is amazing. That's what we need to build. And today I'm sitting on a triangle desk. Not only do I sit on this desk, it's connected to my Apple Watch, and my Apple Watch says stand. The whole table moves. And so for me, that's what innovation is about. And then from be talking a lot about, as we did earlier, don't rebel just for rebellion's sake. It's all about doing innovation, having process, and do it with purpose. And we talk about this a lot. For me, disruption alone is just thinking differently or doing things a lot more on purpose or showing up a lot more intentional. And we also talked about disruption can be through ingredients, the way I present a dish, the way I present the final thing, the way I present myself. And then also how I incorporate into storytelling. And that's for me, one of the things we spent a lot of time on over the last few weeks is around the storytelling of who we are, the storytelling of what makes me that disruptive chef. It's not just the experiences I had and the life things I went through, and a lot of my regulars know, I had a severe health scare a few months ago, and I'm lucky to be able to sit here and talk to you about it. But for me, more than that is that I started thinking differently. How can I show up better for my family? How can I show up better for my community? How can I show up better for my employees? And how can I show up better for you, the listener? And for me, the most important thing for all of that is not just how I show up, and for me, how can I provide more value into you? And for me, all of that came from sharing honestly, because we need to start thinking beyond the plate. We need to disrupt through not just customer experience, brand, and culture. We need to disrupt because the way we looking at what we're doing on a daily basis, the way we show up for ourselves, the way we show up for our people, the way we show up in our community, the way we show up in our business. And that's for me what real disruption means. And you hear me talking a lot about overall, what is disruption for you? I also talk a lot about how you can disrupt your own way of thinking, how you can disrupt your business and the way you show up for yourself. And this little word create means for me exactly that. How can we do more of that? How can we be more consistent with that? How can we do it more often? How can I do it so people receive value in this? And for me, asking better questions, I talk a lot about that. And it's not just better questions of myself, is questions how I show up differently. And for me, I don't know if any of you guys, but I meditate a lot. And for me, my meditation has changed. And one of the meditation we're currently doing is I am, not just who I am. I'm not this body. I'm more than that. For me, doing this, it not just changed a lot of the way I look at what we do on a daily basis, is the way I show up for you. And we need to stay present at that. And we do need to ask better questions. So why are we doing this way? How can I do it better? We're talking about this all the time. It's not just doing it better today. How can I provide more value into you? How can I provide not just value into you, it's about what you do and how you think? Because for me, real disruption is about disrupting your mindset. Because if you embrace risk, but do it calculated. And that's one of the things we talk about all the time. So I honestly feel small experiences lead to really big breakthroughs. And it's not just the big thing. And we talk about this a lot because for me, doing this and showing up just in a small way and making small incremental changes to get better today than I was yesterday is really how this all came together. And if you stay hungry for growth, you taste trends, you learn outside, you learn about a few different things, you stay outside of your category and you get uncomfortable. That's where real disruption happens. And the reason we started the Disruptive Chef show, it's exactly that, because we wanted to bring people to you we look up to, we admire for what they do and how they show up, not just for themselves, but for their communities and the impact they have in the industry. And we want you, our listeners, to learn from that. And we pivot on Friday. I talk about the things I learned. Not just what I learned, is what we're working on as an organization, what we're working on as a team. And it's evolving, it's changing. And for me, the most fun thing about this is how we started out was the culinary executive mastermind. If our listeners know about this, was our idea on how to give back. Joe was really the person which not just drove a lot of that behind us, is really just for us, what, like, how can we make a big impact for you, the listener? How can we have you disrupt your thinking? How can we have you disrupt your routine? And how can we disrupt what you do? And it's simple. We talk about this all the time. I need to start to listen to different stuff, because as I start listening to different things, I start thinking different. And if I start thinking differently, I will act differently. And as I act differently, I will have different outcomes, different results. And that's what real disruption is. Because in food, we're talking about you can change the way you set up your plate, the way you use ingredients, the way you do a certain thing. But for me, disruption is more. Disruption starts with you. It's not just the way you show up in your business, the way you show up for your family, for your community, and for the people you love. At the end of the day, this is what this is all about. And I wanted today talking about the disruption, because if we don't disrupt, we don't want to stay the same. You probably heard it said that when people pass and they ask people what some of their regrets, it's not just about the things that they did or the things that places they didn't go to. It's the impact they never had. And you probably heard it said that the cemetery is the most amazing place, it's the richest place on earth, because there's books never written, businesses never started, and impacts never made. People talk about it. And what we want to do with our small little channel here is for you just to look at what you do on a daily basis differently. Small things have big impacts. Looking at things differently. It's not about flashy pictures. It's about how you show up for yourself, how you show up for your community, and how you show up for the people you love. Because if you do that, we have done our job. And with that, I want to say thanks for being here today. And thanks for listening and hearing my rant about disruption. You hear a lot about disruption, but for me, disrupting is more than just making a dish differently. Disrupting is more just sending out a different tweet or a different note. For me, disruption starts with you. If you think differently, as we talked about, and you start listening to different stuff, you will start to think differently. You will act differently. You have different outcomes and different results. Because it's our strong belief that the people, and I met thousands and thousands of chefs in the industry. And every single person I met is a strategy, a network, or just one simple thing away to have a total different outcome, not just in their life, in their career, and how they show up for themselves and show up for their communities. And that's real disruption. So I want to hear below, what does disruption mean for you? Where do you feel you disrupting your thinking? And then also help us understand what helped you to look at things differently. Because in order for things to get better, you need it to get better. In order for things to evolve, you need to evolve. And if my business is stuck, it's not just because of the business, because of me. And when we take responsibility on doing things differently today than we did yesterday, I have done my job. And that's what disruption means for me. So again, please write below, what does disruption mean for you? What about some of the things you got in value out of today's conversation? And let us know what you want to hear else about it, what we do. But we'll appreciate you guys being here on this beautiful Friday. I want to say thanks and go out there and disrupt everybody. And we see you on Monday. Thanks, everybody.